Mercury retrograde in Aquarius from February 26 to March 21, 2026, is not an ordinary retrograde cycle. It unfolds in the middle of eclipse season, in a sign already charged with multiple planetary conjunctions, and at a time when Jupiter is also retrograde. This creates a period that is less about everyday delays and more about collective mental recalibration. The focus is not just on miscommunication or travel glitches. It is on rethinking how we connect, collaborate, innovate, and define our long-term goals. It is essential to note that these interpretations are based on Sidereal or Vedic astrology, which accounts for the approximately 24-degree difference with the tropical zodiac. Mercury represents communication, logic, trade, media, marketing, youthfulness, data exchange, and decision-making. It rules how information moves. Aquarius, the 11th sign of the zodiac, represents large networks, technology, scientific thinking, humanitarian ideals, social movements, long-term ambitions, and collective systems. When Mercury moves through Aquarius, thought becomes future-oriented and innovative. When it retrogrades there, those future plans are reviewed and corrected. This retrograde comes shortly after a solar eclipse in Aquarius on February 17th, and just before a lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd. Eclipses already shift perception and reveal hidden dynamics. Mercury retrograding in the same sign as the solar eclipse suggests that information connected to leadership, social systems, digital platforms, and collective goals may need revision. Announcements made quickly could require clarification. Decisions made impulsively may need adjustment. This is not inherently negative. It is a quality control phase for large-scale ideas. Aquarius is ruled traditionally by Saturn and associated strongly with Rahu in Vedic astrology. Saturn brings structure and long-term responsibility. Rahu brings innovation, disruption, and amplification. Mercury retrograde in a Saturn-Rahu environment means ideas must pass through both realism and unpredictability. On one side, there may be delays, policy reviews, or regulatory adjustments. On the other side, there may be bold technological breakthroughs or unconventional collaborations. The key theme is correction before expansion. One of the most important factors during this retrograde is that Jupiter is also retrograde until March 11th. When both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde simultaneously, logic and wisdom turn inward at the same time. Mercury handles details. Jupiter rules belief systems and broader understanding. Together in retrograde motion, they create a powerful introspective climate. Instead of rushing forward with confidence, society may pause to reassess narratives, ideologies, educational policies, legal matters, and long-term economic projections. This double retrograde can feel mentally intense, but it is also intellectually productive. Mercury's conjunctions during this period add layers of complexity. With Mars in Aquarius, communication may become sharp, assertive, and action-driven. Debates can intensify, especially in online spaces or group settings. At the same time, this energy can motivate people to address unresolved issues directly. When handled with discipline, it supports decisive corrections rather than conflict. The Sun's involvement in Aquarius during the early phase of the retrograde keeps attention on leadership and authority. Public figures, organizations, and institutions may revise statements or adjust strategies. Transparency becomes important. Mercury retrograde encourages reviewing documents, contracts, and official communications carefully. Venus' presence softens the tone. Creative industries, artistic communities, and financial markets connected to technology or digital platforms may experience review rather than collapse. Old collaborations can resurface. Partnerships may need renegotiation, but diplomacy is available. Rahu's influence amplifies everything connected to innovation and social media. Information spreads quickly during this period. The challenge is discernment. Not every viral idea is accurate. Mercury retrograde reminds us to verify sources and avoid reacting to incomplete data. At the same time, Rahu supports bold thinking. Revolutionary ideas may emerge, especially in science, artificial intelligence, digital systems, and humanitarian reform. Technology is a strong theme. Aquarius rules electricity, digital platforms, and advanced systems. Technical glitches, software updates, and cybersecurity concerns may require attention. Instead of frustration, this can lead to stronger infrastructure. Backups, upgrades, and careful planning become essential. Mercury retrograde encourages observation rather than reaction. Stepping back from heated debates can preserve clarity. After March 11th, When Jupiter turns direct, broader confidence begins to return. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, communication stabilizes and plans move forward with improved precision. By the time Mercury leaves Aquarius in April, many collective and personal goals will have been refined. Ultimately, Mercury retrograde in Aquarius during eclipse season is a strategic reset. It is an invitation to rethink systems, refine communication, upgrade technology, and align ambitions with realistic structure. It's crucial to recognize Mercury symbolizes communication influenced by surroundings, mirroring how conversations reflect one's company. In essence, Mercury's transit triggers curiosity regarding matters related to the sign and house it traverses, prompting information gathering and sharing, aligning with Mercury's fundamental nature to communicate and exchange knowledge. To assess the impact of this transit, it's crucial to consider your ascendant and moon signs. The ascendant sign provides insights into the timing of life events, while the moon sign reveals how you'll emotionally respond to these changes. Consider the position of your current Mahadasha Lord in your birth chart, as it can shed light on how these transits will influence the recurring themes of your current Dasha period. A more precise understanding of the impact of this transit can be gained by examining Mercury's Ashtakavarga score in Aquarius. Keep in mind that the effects of this transit will differ from person to person, contingent on Mercury's interaction with the planets in their individual birth charts, or its transit through the zodiac. It's also worth noting that individuals currently experiencing the influence of Mercury Dasha may feel the effects of this transit more intensely. It's important to remember that the effects of this transit will vary for each person. To understand how this transit may affect you based on your zodiac sign and the houses it transits, let's delve into those specifics. For Aries, this is a significant and strategic phase because Mercury rules your 3rd house and your 6th house, and it is retrograding in your 11th house in Aquarius. The 3rd house represents communication, courage, skills, marketing ability, self-effort, networking through initiative, and younger siblings. The 6th house rules competition, service, employment, discipline, debts, daily routines, and problem-solving ability. When the ruler of effort and competition turns retrograde in the house of gains, income, social networks, recognition, and long-term ambitions, the message is not about loss. It is about recalibration of how your effort converts into rewards. The 11th house is a growth-oriented house. It improves over time, especially when you are willing to adjust your strategy. Mercury retrograde here encourages you to review your income streams, professional alliances, and future goals. You may rethink how you market your skills, how you negotiate compensation, or how you position yourself within larger networks. Because Mercury rules your 3rd house, your communication style directly impacts your gains. This period allows you to refine messaging, update digital presence, and correct miscommunications that may have affected income potential. Since Mercury also rules your 6th house, this retrograde strengthens your analytical ability in competitive environments. Workplace dynamics may come under review, but in a constructive way. You may recognize inefficiencies in your workflow or identify subtle patterns among competitors. This awareness allows you to improve your strategy rather than react emotionally. It is an excellent time to restructure systems, update processes, or revisit agreements related to service or employment. The conjunctions happening in Aquarius intensify this focus. Mars, your ruling planet, is also transiting the 11th house. Mars brings ambition and a strong desire for achievement. Combined with retrograde Mercury, it creates a powerful drive to correct mistakes and strengthen long-term plans. Patience is essential. Avoid speaking impulsively in group settings or online platforms. Words carry weight in the 11th house, especially within professional networks. When you combine Mars' courage with Mercury's analytical thinking, you can make bold yet calculated decisions that improve long-term results. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this period highlights visibility and leadership within your social circles. You may be interacting with influential people or senior authorities. Retrograde Mercury ensures you double-check commitments before making public promises. This is not a time for exaggerated expectations. It is a time for thoughtful planning. When you clarify your goals and align them with practical steps, recognition follows naturally. Venus also joins this configuration, adding diplomacy and financial harmony. Venus influences wealth and relationships in your chart, so its conjunction with Mercury in the 11th house supports renegotiation of contracts, partnership terms, and collaborative ventures. You may reconnect with past clients or revive projects that were previously paused. Venus softens communication, making it easier to resolve misunderstandings in business or friendship circles. Rahu's presence in Aquarius amplifies ambition. You may feel a strong desire to expand your reach, especially through technology, social media, or international networks. Rahu can bring sudden opportunities, but it can also create unrealistic expectations. Mercury retrograde ensures you review details carefully. If you approach expansion with research and planning, Rahu's influence can open innovative pathways for growth. The most important factor during this period is that Jupiter is also retrograde at the same time. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your third house, until March 11th. This is highly significant because Mercury rules the third house and is retrograding in the 11th. Both effort and reward sectors are in reflective motion simultaneously. Jupiter retrograde in the third encourages deeper thinking about how you communicate and initiate projects. You may refine your skills, revisit training programs, or adjust marketing strategies. Jupiter casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 11th house. This aspect is protective and supportive. Even if income feels delayed temporarily, Jupiter ensures long-term growth through wisdom. Because both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde together, this is not a period for impulsive expansion. It is a strategic pause that strengthens foundations. The ideas you refine now can produce significant gains once both planets turn direct. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your 5th house of creativity, speculation, romance, and self-expression. This creates an axis between creativity and gains. You may gain emotional clarity about which creative pursuits truly align with your financial goals. If you are involved in investments or speculative ventures, this is the time to review risk carefully. The eclipse may reveal where adjustments are needed. Mercury retrograde allows you to implement those adjustments thoughtfully. Financially, this period supports restructuring income rather than chasing new streams aggressively. You may revise pricing, renegotiate salary terms, or adjust commission structures. Because Mercury rules your 6th house, resolving debts or legal matters can improve long-term stability. Socially, you may reassess friendships and professional circles. Some connections may fade naturally, while others strengthen through honest dialogue. Choose alliances that support your vision rather than drain your energy. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, clarity improves in communication and initiative. Confidence and networking grows. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, financial negotiations and collaborative projects move forward more smoothly. For Aries, this double retrograde phase is not about blocked success. It is about intelligent recalibration. You are refining effort, strengthening strategy, and aligning ambition with practicality. With Jupiter's protective aspect and Mercury's analytical power, the corrections made now create stronger gains in the months ahead. For Taurus, Mercury is a highly functional planet because it rules your 2nd house of wealth, speech, accumulated savings, and family values, and your 5th house of intelligence, creativity, children, education, speculation, and decision-making ability. When Mercury turns retrograde in your 10th house in Aquarius, the spotlight falls directly on career, public image, authority, and long-term professional direction. This is not a weakening of career energy. It is a refinement phase that can significantly strengthen your professional foundation. The 10th house represents visibility and responsibility. It shows how the world sees you and how you handle authority. When Mercury retrogrades here, it asks you to review how you communicate in professional spaces. Since Mercury carries 2nd house energy into the 10th, finances are closely linked with career decisions during this period. You may revisit salary structures, renegotiate compensation, refine business pricing, or reassess how your skills translate into income. This is an excellent time to correct underpricing or adjust financial planning connected to career growth. Because Mercury also rules your 5th house, creativity and intelligence are directly tied to professional advancement. You may rethink creative strategies, educational goals, or leadership methods. If you are involved in teaching, consulting, writing, design, or analytical roles, this retrograde favors editing and restructuring rather than launching something entirely new. You may refine presentations, update portfolios, or improve technical skills. The quality of your output improves when you take time to revise. Aquarius as your 10th house brings themes of innovation, technology, large organizations, and social impact into your professional life. Mercury retrograde here encourages modernization. You may upgrade systems, revise digital strategies, or adopt new tools that improve efficiency. If you work within corporate structures or government institutions, you may revisit policies or procedures that need clarification. Slowdowns in approvals or decision-making are not setbacks. They allow you to correct details before moving forward. The conjunctions in Aquarius intensify the focus on career. Mars in the 10th house increases ambition and drive. You may feel eager to prove yourself or take bold action. With Mercury retrograde, channel this energy into strategic planning rather than impulsive announcements. Mars gives courage to address professional issues directly. Combined with Mercury's analytical nature, it supports decisive but thoughtful leadership. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this retrograde highlights authority and recognition. You may interact with senior figures or receive feedback about your performance. Retrograde Mercury encourages you to listen carefully and respond with clarity. If there were misunderstandings in the past, this period allows correction. Strengthening communication with superiors can improve long-term prospects. Venus, your ruling planet, also influences this cycle. Venus rules your 1st and 6th houses, connecting personal identity and daily work routines to career. When Venus joins Mercury in Aquarius during the early phase, professional diplomacy increases. Negotiations regarding salary, contracts, or collaborations can be handled more smoothly. You may reconnect with former colleagues or clients who offer renewed opportunities. Rahu's presence in Aquarius amplifies ambition and desire for visibility. You may feel drawn toward unconventional or innovative career paths. Rahu can bring large opportunities, especially through technology or international connections. Mercury retrograde ensures that you evaluate these opportunities carefully. Research thoroughly before committing. Now consider the most important factor. Jupiter is also retrograde at the same time. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your 2nd house, until March 11th. This is highly significant because Mercury rules the 2nd house and is retrograding in the 10th. Both wealth and career sectors are under reflective motion simultaneously. Jupiter retrograde in the 2nd deepens awareness about financial security and ethical earning. You may reconsider savings strategies, investment plans, or long-term financial goals. Jupiter casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 10th house. This aspect is protective and expansive. Even if professional decisions feel slow, Jupiter ensures growth through wisdom. Because both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde together, this is not a period for reckless career shifts. It is a strategic pause that strengthens financial foundations and professional credibility. Adjustments made now improve stability later. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your 4th house of home, emotional security, and property. This creates an axis between career and home. You may realize the need to balance professional ambition with family responsibilities. Emotional awareness around living arrangements may surface. Mercury retrograde allows you to reassess priorities calmly. If relocation for career reasons is under consideration, use this time for planning rather than immediate action. Financially, this period supports review rather than risk. Since the 5th house rules speculation and Mercury rules it, aggressive investment decisions should be avoided. Instead, analyze performance and adjust strategy. Corrections made now can prevent future losses. On a personal level, communication style becomes important. The 2nd house connection emphasizes speech. Words spoken in professional settings carry weight. Choose clarity over speed. Thoughtful communication strengthens reputation. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, financial confidence increases. Plans related to savings and investments feel clearer. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, career negotiations and professional projects gain momentum. By April, you may see visible progress resulting from refinements made during retrograde. For Taurus, this double retrograde period is not a setback. It is a professional and financial upgrade cycle. You are aligning intelligence with ambition, creativity with responsibility, and income with long-term stability. With Jupiter's protective aspect and Mercury's analytical precision, the adjustments made now position you for stronger recognition and more secure wealth in the months ahead. For Gemini, this period carries special importance because Mercury is your ruling planet. It rules your 1st house of identity, health, personality, confidence, and direction in life, And it also rules your 4th house of home, emotional security, property, and inner stability. When your chart ruler turns retrograde, you feel it personally. Mercury retrogrades in your 9th house in Aquarius. The 9th house represents higher learning, belief systems, long-distance travel, publishing, law, teachers, mentors, and overall life philosophy. At the same time, Jupiter is also retrograde in Gemini, your 1st house, until March 11th. When both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde together, the energy becomes deeply reflective and meaningful rather than chaotic. This is a rare opportunity to realign identity with belief and long-term direction. Because Mercury rules your 1st house, this retrograde becomes a self-review phase. You may rethink how you present yourself, how you communicate your ideas, and what direction you want your life to take. Aquarius is a forward-thinking sign, and with Mercury moving backward there, you are reassessing future plans carefully. You may question educational goals, travel plans, or philosophical viewpoints. This is not confusion. It is refinement. Gemini individuals naturally gather information quickly. This period slows you down just enough to filter what truly aligns with your evolving identity. Mercury also rules your 4th house, connecting this 9th house retrograde to home and emotional stability. You may reflect on whether your current living situation supports your ambitions. Conversations about relocation for education or career reasons may resurface. If you have been considering studying abroad or moving for professional growth, this is an excellent time to review details, paperwork, and logistics. Corrections made now prevent complications later. The presence of multiple planets in Aquarius intensifies the 9th house focus. Mars here increases drive to pursue knowledge and speak about beliefs confidently. You may feel motivated to defend your ideas or challenge outdated views. With Mercury retrograde, it is important to express yourself calmly and verify facts before engaging in debates. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this period increases visibility of your ideas. Authority figures, teachers, or mentors may take notice of your perspective. Retrograde Mercury ensures that you communicate clearly and avoid misunderstandings in academic or legal matters. If you are working on publishing projects, research papers, or professional certifications, this is a strong time to edit and refine rather than rush completion. Venus also influences this period. Venus rules your 5th and 12th houses, linking creativity, romance, and foreign matters to your belief system. When Venus joins Mercury in Aquarius, discussions about higher education, travel, or creative collaborations can progress more smoothly. You may reconnect with someone from a different cultural background or revisit an academic opportunity that was previously delayed. Rahu's presence in Aquarius amplifies curiosity and desire for expansion. You may feel drawn toward unconventional philosophies or modern learning platforms. Rahu can bring bold opportunities, especially through technology or global networks. Mercury retrograde ensures you research thoroughly before committing to new programs or travel plans. Jupiter retrograde in the 1st house turns growth inward. You may question your personal beliefs and reassess your confidence level. Since Jupiter aspects Aquarius from Gemini, it casts its protective influence onto your 9th house. This means even if plans feel slow or uncertain, they are supported by wisdom. Both Mercury and Jupiter retrograde together create a double layer of introspection. You are reviewing both logic and faith at the same time. Because both planets influencing identity and philosophy are retrograde, this is not a time for rushed decisions about relocation, higher studies, or legal commitments. It is a time for alignment. You may realize that certain goals were shaped by external expectations rather than inner desire. This awareness is empowering. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, clarity about personal direction strengthens. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, travel plans, academic matters, and publishing projects gain smoother momentum. Psychologically, this is a period of philosophical maturity. You are refining your belief system. Ideas that no longer resonate may fall away. New perspectives may emerge quietly. When Jupiter turns direct, clarity about personal direction increases. Confidence grows. When Mercury turns direct, plans related to travel, education, publishing, or legal matters begin to move forward with stronger structure. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your 3rd house of communication, writing, siblings, and short travel. This creates an axis between communication and belief. Emotional awareness about how you express your ideas may surface. You may recognize the need to adjust tone or improve listening skills. Rather than tension, this brings maturity. The eclipse highlights what needs attention. Mercury retrograde gives you the space to correct it. Emotionally, this can be a meaningful growth period. You may spend more time reflecting on life purpose. Conversations with mentors or spiritual guides may provide insight. If you have been feeling restless about direction, this retrograde allows you to pause and recalibrate. Practically, this is an excellent time to revise academic applications, review visa paperwork, update professional qualifications, or edit written content. Delays are often blessings in disguise, ensuring accuracy and preparedness. For Gemini, the simultaneous retrograde of Mercury and Jupiter is not a setback. It is a philosophical and personal reset. You are aligning identity with higher truth, refining communication style, and clarifying long-term goals. With Jupiter's protective aspect and Mercury's analytical precision, the adjustments made now create stronger confidence and clearer direction in the months ahead. For Cancer, Mercury rules your 3rd house and your 12th house. The 3rd house represents communication, courage, initiative, skills, short travel, media, and siblings. The 12th house represents foreign lands, spirituality, expenses, subconscious patterns, isolation, research, and inner healing. When Mercury retrogrades in your 8th house in Aquarius, the energy becomes deep, internal, and transformative. It is a psychological and financial recalibration that works quietly but powerfully in your favor when handled consciously. The 8th house is connected to shared resources, joint finances, research, hidden matters, inheritance, taxes, insurance, and emotional transformation. It is also the house of deep insight and regeneration. When Mercury, the planet of logic and analysis, retrogrades here, it invites you to re-examine areas of life that are usually kept private. Because Mercury rules your 3rd house, conversations about financial sharing, contracts, or investments may resurface. Discussions that were postponed may return for resolution. This is a constructive opportunity to clarify misunderstandings in joint finances or business partnerships. Mercury also rules your 12th house, which links this retrograde to foreign connections, spiritual development, and subconscious patterns. You may feel more introspective during this period. Old memories or unresolved emotional themes can surface, not to disturb you, but to help you understand them better. This is an excellent time for therapy, journaling, meditation, or research-based work. If you are involved in psychology, healing, investigation, taxation, or financial planning, this retrograde strengthens your analytical depth. The fact that Jupiter is also retrograde at the same time adds a significant layer. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your 12th house, until March 11th. So, both Mercury and Jupiter are influencing hidden and internal areas of your chart. When Mercury retrogrades in the 8th and Jupiter retrogrades in the 12th, the focus becomes inner wisdom and healing. You are not meant to rush outward progress right now. You are meant to gain clarity from within. Jupiter casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 8th house, where Mercury is retrograde. This is protective. Even if sensitive matters arise, Jupiter's aspect ensures that solutions are available. Financial corrections made now can stabilize long-term security. Emotional insights gained now can strengthen resilience. The conjunctions in Aquarius intensify transformation. Mars in the 8th house increases determination to face difficult matters directly. This can bring courage to handle debts, taxes, insurance claims, or shared financial responsibilities. With Mercury retrograde, you must review documents carefully. Avoid impulsive decisions, especially in financial agreements. Mars gives drive, but Mercury demands accuracy. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this retrograde brings awareness to power dynamics. You may become more conscious of who holds influence in financial or emotional exchanges. Rather than reacting defensively, this period helps you communicate clearly about boundaries. The earlier solar eclipse in Aquarius already activated themes of transformation. Mercury retrograde helps you process what that eclipse revealed. Venus conjunct Mercury adds a softer tone. Venus rules your 4th and 11th houses, connecting home, emotional comfort, friendships, and long-term gains to this transformation phase. Conversations with close friends or family may help you process deeper concerns. Financial discussions with partners can become more balanced. If you are considering investments related to property or shared ventures, this is a strong period for review rather than immediate execution. Rahu's presence in Aquarius increases curiosity about hidden subjects. You may feel drawn to research, occult studies, advanced learning, or technological finance tools. Rahu amplifies intensity, but Jupiter's aspect stabilizes it. The key is grounded exploration. Avoid speculation driven by fear or greed. Focus on learning and structured planning. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your second house of income, speech, and family values. This eclipse directly opposes the 8th house where Mercury is retrograde. The axis of personal finances and shared finances becomes highlighted. You may realize the need to balance what you earn independently with what you share or owe. Emotional reactions around money can surface. Instead of seeing this as instability, view it as awareness. The eclipse reveals patterns. Mercury retrograde allows you to correct them thoughtfully. Because both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde simultaneously, the overall tone is introspective rather than disruptive. You may prefer solitude. You may think deeply before speaking. This is beneficial. As a Cancer individuals, you are naturally sensitive. This period strengthens your emotional intelligence. You become more aware of how your words impact others, especially in delicate situations. Financially, this is a strong time to review tax filings, insurance policies, loan agreements, or investment strategies. Corrections may now protect you later. If you are waiting on financial settlements, progress may feel slow, but Jupiter's aspect indicates eventual fairness. Spiritually, this is one of the most powerful periods of the year for you. 12th and 8th house energies combined with retrogrades encourage inner growth. You may gain insight through dreams, meditation, or quiet reflection. Hidden fears lose power when examined calmly. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, mental clarity improves. You may feel lighter emotionally. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, financial negotiations and paperwork move forward more smoothly. By April, the sense of transformation becomes more visible externally. For Cancer, this double retrograde phase is not about crisis. It is about deep strengthening. You are reorganizing financial structures, clearing emotional baggage, and refining communication in sensitive areas. The lunar eclipse adds awareness, but Jupiter's protective aspect ensures stability. What you correct quietly now becomes the foundation for greater security and confidence in the months ahead. For Leo, Mercury rules two very important houses in your chart. It rules the second house of wealth, speech, savings, and family values, and it rules the 11th house of gains, income, networks, recognition, and long-term ambitions. When the ruler of money and profits turns retrograde in your 7th house in Aquarius, the focus shifts strongly toward partnerships, business alliances, client relationships, and public dealings. This is not a period of loss. It is a phase of renegotiation and refinement in the way you relate to others financially and professionally. The 7th house represents spouse, business partners, contracts, agreements, and open competitors. With Mercury retrograde here, conversations that were incomplete may return. Business terms may need revision. Client expectations may require clarification. Since Mercury carries your 2nd and 11th house energy into the 7th, finances are directly tied to partnerships during this time. You may review joint ventures, revenue sharing, commissions, or collaborative projects. Instead of seeing delays as setbacks, view them as an opportunity to build stronger and more transparent agreements. Aquarius as the 7th house brings themes of unconventional alliances, large audiences, and social platforms. Mercury retrograde here encourages you to rethink how you communicate in relationships. If misunderstandings have occurred in marriage or business, this period allows calm dialogue. Mercury's nature is analytical. It helps you look at both sides logically. Because Mercury rules your 11th house, partnerships formed now can influence long-term income. Taking time to clarify expectations ensures stability in the months ahead. The conjunctions in Aquarius intensify relationship themes. Mars in the 7th house increases passion and drive in partnerships. It can also create impatience if communication is rushed. With Mercury retrograde, slow down discussions. Mars gives you courage to address issues directly. Used wisely, it helps clear the air and strengthen bonds. Avoid reacting impulsively in heated conversations. Strategic communication works better than emotional reaction. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this period highlights ego dynamics in relationships. Since Leo individuals are naturally strong personalities, you may become aware of where compromise is needed. This is not about diminishing your identity. It is about balancing independence with cooperation. Mercury retrograde supports thoughtful adjustment. If you are negotiating contracts or discussing commitments, take time to read details carefully. Venus rules your 3rd and 10th houses, linking communication and career to this partnership focus. When Venus joins Mercury in Aquarius, professional alliances benefit from diplomacy. You may reconnect with past collaborators or clients. This is a favorable time to revisit proposals that were previously delayed. Venus softens tone and increases mutual understanding. Rahu's presence in Aquarius adds intensity. Rahu can amplify desires for rapid growth through partnerships. You may feel drawn toward influential or unconventional people. Mercury retrograde asks you to verify promises. If something sounds impressive, ensure it is practical. Rahu can bring large opportunities, especially through international or digital platforms, but due diligence is essential. Now consider the fact that Jupiter is also retrograde at the same time. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your 11th house, until March 11th. This is highly significant. The 11th house represents gains, and Jupiter here usually expands income and networks. When retrograde, it encourages reassessment of long-term goals. Because Mercury rules this same 11th house and is retrograding in your 7th, both partnership and income sectors are under review simultaneously. This creates a powerful opportunity to align collaborations with your financial ambitions. Jupiter from Gemini casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 7th house. This aspect is protective. It brings wisdom into partnership decisions. Even if discussions feel slow, outcomes tend to be fair. Jupiter retrograde also deepens maturity. You may realize which alliances genuinely support growth and which are purely transactional. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, clarity improves and agreements begin moving forward more confidently. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd adds a personal layer to this period. This eclipse occurs in your 1st house, highlighting identity, health, and self-image. It forms an axis with the 7th house where Mercury is retrograde. This creates awareness about balance between self and others. You may recognize where you have been overcompromising or, on the other hand, where you have been too dominant. The eclipse reveals emotional truths. Mercury retrograde gives you the space to process and communicate those truths calmly. Financially, this is a strong period for renegotiation. If you are self-employed, client contracts may be revised for better clarity. If you are in business, profit-sharing structures may improve after review. If employed, workplace partnerships and collaborations can be restructured to support higher income potential. Since Mercury rules both wealth and gains, any correction made now strengthens long-term prosperity. On a personal level, relationships can mature. Old misunderstandings may surface for resolution. Communication patterns may shift toward more honesty. Because both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde, this is not a time for rushed decisions about commitment or separation. It is a time for thoughtful evaluation. Patience now prevents regret later. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, confidence in long-term plans increases. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, communication flows more smoothly and agreements stabilize. The emotional intensity of the eclipse begins to settle, leaving behind clearer self-awareness. For Leo, this double retrograde period is not about relationship breakdown. It is about strengthening foundations. You are refining how you communicate, whom you trust, and how partnerships contribute to your financial goals. Jupiter's protective aspect ensures growth after adjustment. By the time both planets move forward, you are positioned for stronger alliances, clearer contracts, and more aligned long-term gains. For Virgo, this is a highly significant phase because Mercury is your chart ruler. It rules your 1st house of identity, health, personality, and overall direction, and it also rules your 10th house of career, status, authority, and public reputation. When your ruling planet turns retrograde, you feel the shift personally. In this case, Mercury is retrograding in your 6th house in Aquarius. The 6th house relates to daily work, service, routines, colleagues, employees, competition, debts, disputes, and health management. When Mercury retrogrades here, the focus turns toward refining systems rather than fighting battles. Because Mercury carries your 1st house energy into the 6th, this becomes a period of self-improvement. You may feel the urge to reorganize your schedule, improve productivity, or correct inefficiencies in your work environment. Small changes made now can have a large impact later. Since Mercury also rules your 10th house, your career is directly tied to how effectively you manage daily responsibilities. This retrograde encourages you to adjust workflows, clarify job roles, and improve communication with coworkers. Aquarius, as the sixth house, introduces themes of innovation and technology into your routine. You may adopt new tools or methods that streamline tasks. If there have been misunderstandings with colleagues or subordinates, this is a constructive time to resolve them through clear dialogue. Mercury retrograde often brings back unfinished issues. Instead of resisting this, see it as a chance to clean up loose ends. Once addressed, your professional foundation becomes stronger. The conjunctions in Aquarius intensify the sixth house energy. Mars in this house increases drive to compete and solve problems. You may feel more motivated to prove your competence. Mars combined with retrograde Mercury requires calm handling. Avoid reacting sharply in workplace disagreements. If you respond thoughtfully, this combination gives you the courage to address issues directly and improve efficiency. It can also increase physical energy, making it a good time to restart fitness or health routines. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this period brings visibility to your work efforts. Authority figures may notice your attention to detail. Retrograde Mercury ensures that you double-check documentation and communication. This is especially helpful if you are dealing with reports, legal compliance, contracts, or analytical tasks. Accuracy now prevents future complications. Venus influence adds balance. Venus rules your second and ninth houses, linking wealth and higher learning to your daily work. When Venus joins Mercury in Aquarius, financial matters connected to employment or service may come under review. Salary structures, bonuses, or consulting fees can be adjusted. There may also be opportunities to learn new skills that enhance earning potential. Venus softens workplace interactions, helping you negotiate calmly. Rahu's presence in Aquarius amplifies activity in the sixth house. You may encounter unusual challenges or unconventional projects. Rahu can create intensity, but it also brings innovation. Mercury retrograde ensures that you approach new systems carefully. Avoid shortcuts. Focus on learning and adapting steadily. This period can actually position you ahead of competitors if you use it wisely. Now consider the fact that Jupiter is also retrograde at the same time. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your 10th house, until March 11th. This is very important because Jupiter in the 10th usually expands career opportunities and recognition. When retrograde, it turns that expansion inward. You may reflect on your professional direction. Since Mercury rules the same 10th house and is retrograding in the 6th, both career vision and daily execution are under review simultaneously. Jupiter from Gemini casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 6th house. This is protective and supportive. Even if work feels demanding, Jupiter's aspect ensures fairness and growth. It encourages ethical decision-making and long-term thinking. Because both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde together, this is not a time for reckless job changes. It is a time for strategic planning. You are refining your skill set and career approach so that future growth becomes sustainable. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your 12th house of rest, reflection, and subconscious patterns. This eclipse can heighten emotional sensitivity. You may feel the need for more rest or private time. Since the 12th house opposes your 6th house of work, balance becomes essential. Overworking without rest can create strain. Use this period to improve sleep patterns and mental clarity. Meditation or quiet reflection can support focus. Financially, this is a steadying period rather than a volatile one. Since Venus rules your second house and supports Mercury, income connected to service or career can stabilize after review. If debts exist, this is a good time to restructure payment plans. If disputes arise, patient negotiation works in your favor. Health becomes a central theme. Mercury ruling your first house suggests that your physical and mental well-being are tied to how you manage stress. Retrograde energy encourages revisiting routines rather than starting extreme regimens. Small, consistent improvements work best. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, clarity about career direction increases. You may feel more confident about long-term goals. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, workflow improves and workplace communication becomes smoother. Projects that felt stalled begin to progress. For Virgo, this double retrograde phase is not a setback. It is a refinement cycle. You are aligning your identity with your career and strengthening daily systems that support success. With Jupiter's protective aspect and Mercury's analytical power, you have the tools to correct inefficiencies and build resilience. By the time both planets move forward, you are positioned for stronger professional growth and greater personal balance. For Libra, Mercury rules your 9th and 12th houses. The 9th house represents higher learning, belief systems, long-distance travel, teachers, publishing, law, and overall fortune. The 12th house represents foreign lands, spirituality, expenses, retreat, subconscious healing, and behind-the-scenes activities. When Mercury turns retrograde in your 5th house in Aquarius, the focus shifts toward creativity, education, children, romance, self-expression, and intelligent decision-making. This is not a negative cycle. It is a thoughtful reworking of how your beliefs, imagination, and future plans are expressed. The 5th house is a house of intelligence and personal creativity. It rules how you think independently, and how you bring ideas into the world. When Mercury, the ruler of higher wisdom and spiritual reflection, retrogrades here, it encourages you to revisit old ideas, unfinished creative projects, or academic goals. If you have been considering advanced study, writing, teaching, or publishing, this is an excellent time to refine drafts and reorganize plans. Rather than launching something entirely new, you are invited to improve what already exists. Because Mercury rules your 9th house, this retrograde connects creativity with belief systems. You may question certain philosophies or adjust long-term goals. This questioning is healthy. It helps you align your creative direction with deeper values. If you are involved in legal matters or international connections, details may need revision. With careful attention, corrections made now can prevent future complications. Mercury also rules your 12th house, linking this retrograde to inner reflection and spiritual growth. You may feel more introspective than usual. This is a strong time for meditation, journaling, or creative work done in solitude. Inspiration may arise from quiet reflection rather than external stimulation. If you are working on artistic or research-based projects, progress may seem slow, but the quality of insight increases significantly. The conjunctions in Aquarius add momentum to this 5th house activation. Mars in the 5th house increases passion for creative expression. You may feel more motivated to pursue hobbies or speculative ventures. With Mercury retrograde, impulsive decisions in investments or romance should be avoided. Take time to evaluate carefully. Mars gives courage to act, but Mercury asks for calculation. Used wisely, this combination helps you refine strategy in areas like stock trading, business speculation, or entrepreneurial ideas. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this retrograde brings visibility to your talents. You may receive attention for creative skills or leadership in educational environments. Retrograde Mercury ensures that you double-check communication before presenting ideas publicly. This strengthens credibility. Venus rules your 1st and 8th houses, linking identity and transformation to the 5th house. When Venus joins Mercury in Aquarius, creativity and diplomacy blend smoothly. Romantic misunderstandings can be resolved through calm dialogue. If you are in a relationship, discussions about future plans may resurface for refinement. If single, you may reconnect with someone from the past. The tone is reflective rather than dramatic. Rahu's presence in Aquarius intensifies desire for recognition in creative or intellectual pursuits. You may feel drawn toward unconventional art forms, innovative technologies, or speculative opportunities. Rahu amplifies ambition. Mercury retrograde ensures you proceed carefully. Research thoroughly before committing resources. If handled wisely, this combination can bring unique creative breakthroughs. Now consider the fact that Jupiter is also retrograde at the same time. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your 9th house, until March 11th. This is highly significant because Mercury rules the 9th house and is retrograding in the 5th. Both planets influencing knowledge and creativity are in reflective motion simultaneously. Jupiter retrograde in the 9th deepens philosophical thinking. You may revisit spiritual teachings, educational goals, or long-term travel plans. Instead of outward expansion, growth turns inward. Jupiter casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 5th house. This aspect is protective and expansive. Even if creative projects feel delayed, Jupiter ensures they develop depth and meaning. Since both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde together, this is not a time for rushed risk-taking. It is a time for intellectual maturity. You are refining your understanding before acting. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your 11th house of gains, networks, and long-term aspirations. This eclipse forms an axis with your 5th house. Emotional awareness around friends and ambitions may surface. You may realize which social connections genuinely support your creativity. Some group dynamics may shift. Rather than seeing this as instability, view it as clarity. The eclipse reveals where your energy is best invested. Mercury retrograde allows you to adjust accordingly. Financially, this period encourages careful speculation rather than aggressive risk. Since the fifth house rules investments, review strategies calmly. Corrections made now can prevent losses later. Jupiter's supportive aspect indicates that wisdom guides your choices if you take time to analyze. Emotionally, this can be a meaningful growth phase. You may gain insight into romantic patterns or creative blocks. Conversations that were avoided may now be addressed thoughtfully. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, clarity about educational and spiritual direction improves. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, creative flow strengthens and decisions become easier. Projects that were under revision can move forward with confidence. For Libra, the simultaneous retrograde of Mercury and Jupiter is not a setback. It is a refinement of intellect and inspiration. You are aligning creativity with belief, passion with wisdom, and ambition with purpose. The eclipse brings emotional awareness, but Jupiter's aspect ensures protection. By the time both planets resume forward motion, you are positioned for more meaningful creative success and clearer long-term vision. For Scorpio, Mercury rules your 8th and 11th houses. The 8th house represents transformation, shared finances, inheritance, research, psychological depth, and sudden changes. The 11th house rules gains, income, networks, elder siblings, and long-term ambitions. When Mercury turns retrograde in your 4th house in Aquarius, the focus shifts toward home, property, emotional security, family foundations, and inner stability. Because Mercury connects deep transformation and financial gains to your domestic sphere, this retrograde becomes a powerful period for restructuring your base rather than disrupting it. The 4th house represents your inner world. It shows your emotional comfort, relationship with mother, living environment, and real estate matters. When Mercury retrogrades here, conversations at home may resurface for resolution. Old family discussions that were postponed may now be handled more calmly. Since Mercury rules your 11th house of gains, financial decisions related to property or family investments may come under review. This is a constructive period to reassess mortgage plans, rental agreements, renovation budgets, or long-term housing strategies. Instead of rushing into purchases or sales, you are encouraged to verify details and refine plans. Mercury also rules your 8th house, linking this retrograde to shared assets and deeper emotional patterns. You may become more aware of financial dynamics within family relationships. If there have been misunderstandings about joint finances or inheritance matters, this period can bring clarity. The retrograde does not necessarily create new issues. It brings unfinished matters back into discussion so they can be handled wisely. Aquarius in the 4th house adds themes of modernization and innovation. You may feel the urge to upgrade your home environment, adopt smart technology, or reorganize living spaces. This is an excellent time to declutter, digitize paperwork, or restructure household systems. Small improvements made now can enhance long-term comfort. The conjunctions in Aquarius intensify domestic focus. Mars in the 4th house increases activity around property and home matters. You may feel motivated to repair, renovate, or reorganize. Mars combined with retrograde Mercury requires patience in family conversations. Avoid sharp reactions. Direct but calm communication strengthens relationships. Mars gives courage to address long-standing issues instead of avoiding them. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this period highlights authority dynamics within the family. You may take on greater responsibility at home. Mercury retrograde ensures you approach decisions thoughtfully. If you are dealing with property documentation, legal paperwork, or government procedures related to real estate, double-checking details is essential. Corrections made now prevent future complications. Venus influence adds balance and harmony. Venus rules your 7th and 12th houses, connecting partnerships and foreign matters to home life. When Venus joins Mercury in Aquarius, domestic discussions with spouse or partner can become more cooperative. You may consider relocation connected to career or international opportunities. Revisiting such plans during this retrograde can strengthen decision-making. Rahu's presence in Aquarius increases restlessness in the domestic sphere. You may feel a desire for change in living arrangements. Rahu amplifies ambition for a more modern or independent lifestyle. Mercury retrograde ensures that any change is carefully evaluated rather than impulsive. If relocation is under consideration, use this period for research and planning rather than finalizing contracts immediately. Now consider the fact that Jupiter is also retrograde at the same time. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your 8th house, until March 11th. This is significant because Mercury rules this same 8th house and is retrograding in your 4th. Both transformation and emotional security are under reflective review simultaneously. Jupiter retrograde in the 8th deepens psychological insight. You may gain clarity about financial patterns, shared responsibilities, and emotional attachments. Jupiter casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 4th house. This aspect is protective and stabilizing. Even if family matters feel sensitive, Jupiter's influence brings wisdom and fairness. If property negotiations or inheritance discussions arise, outcomes tend to favor long-term stability rather than short-term gain. Because both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde, this is not a period for dramatic decisions. It is a time for strategic reassessment. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your 10th house of career and public image. This creates an axis between career and home. You may realize the need to balance professional ambition with personal stability. Emotional awareness around work responsibilities may surface. Instead of viewing this as tension, see it as alignment. Mercury retrograde in the 4th helps you restructure your home life to support career growth. Financially, this period encourages cautious review rather than aggressive investment. If you are considering property purchases, renovation loans, or joint financial ventures, use this time to evaluate thoroughly. Jupiter's aspect ensures protection when decisions are made with patience. Emotionally, this is a healing phase. Mercury ruling the 8th and retrograding in the 4th can bring suppressed feelings to the surface. Addressing them calmly strengthens family bonds. Open conversations about long-term security can bring reassurance. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, financial and psychological clarity increases. You may feel more confident about property or shared resource decisions. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, domestic communication becomes smoother and plans move forward more decisively. For Scorpio, this double retrograde period is not about instability. It is about reinforcing your foundation. You are reviewing financial structures, strengthening emotional security, and modernizing your living environment. With Jupiter's protective aspect and Mercury's analytical power, the adjustments made now create greater stability in both home and long-term gains. By the time both planets resume forward motion, you are positioned for stronger inner confidence and more secure family foundations. For Sagittarius, Mercury plays a crucial role because it rules your 7th house of partnerships and your 10th house of career and public reputation. That means business alliances, marriage, contracts, clients, leadership roles, and professional visibility are all connected to Mercury's movement. Mercury retrogrades in your 3rd house in Aquarius. The 3rd house represents communication, courage, self-effort, skills, media, marketing, writing, short travel, and relationships with siblings. When the ruler of partnerships and career turns retrograde in the house of communication and initiative, the message is clear. This is a period to refine how you speak, negotiate, promote, and execute rather than rushing ahead. The 3rd house is an action-oriented house. It rewards initiative and consistent effort. Mercury retrograde here does not remove your drive. Instead, it encourages smarter action. Since Mercury rules your 7th house, communication within partnerships becomes central. If there have been misunderstandings with a spouse, business partner, or key client, this period allows you to revisit conversations calmly. Agreements may need clarification. Expectations may need adjustment. Rather than creating separation, this retrograde can strengthen trust through honest dialogue. Because Mercury also rules your 10th house, your professional reputation is tied closely to how you communicate. You may revisit business strategies, marketing plans, or public messaging. If you work in media, consulting, teaching, law, or sales, this is an excellent time to refine content and improve presentation. Editing proposals, updating resumes, reorganizing websites, and polishing reports can significantly enhance your credibility once Mercury turns direct. Aquarius as the 3rd house brings themes of technology, networking, innovation, and social platforms into your communication style. You may feel drawn to expand your digital presence or experiment with new tools. Retrograde Mercury suggests reviewing existing systems rather than launching entirely new ventures immediately. Small corrections in messaging can have a large impact on professional growth. The conjunctions in Aquarius add intensity and opportunity. Mars in the third house increases courage and determination. You may feel more assertive in expressing ideas. This is powerful when channeled strategically. Avoid impulsive speech during debates, especially with siblings or coworkers. Used wisely, Mars helps you defend your ideas confidently while Mercury ensures you structure them clearly. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this period increases visibility of your voice. Authority figures may notice your communication style. Retrograde Mercury encourages precision. Double-checking facts before presenting them strengthens your reputation. This is particularly important if you are negotiating contracts or discussing career progression. Venus also influences this period. Venus rules your 6th and 11th houses, connecting service, income, and social networks to communication. When Venus joins Mercury in Aquarius, conversations with colleagues and friends become more harmonious. You may reconnect with old contacts who bring new professional opportunities. Financial gains may arise through refined marketing or improved networking strategies. Rahu's presence in Aquarius amplifies ambition in communication. You may feel an urge to reach a wider audience or enter new markets. Rahu can bring bold ideas and innovative approaches. Mercury retrograde ensures you verify details before committing. If you are considering launching a campaign or signing an agreement, use this time to research thoroughly. Now consider the most important factor. Jupiter, your ruling planet, is also retrograde at the same time. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your 7th house, until March 11th. This is highly significant because Mercury rules the 7th house and is retrograding in the 3rd. Both partnership and communication sectors are under review simultaneously. Jupiter retrograde in the 7th encourages reflection about relationships and contracts. You may reconsider the quality of alliances and whether they align with your long-term goals. Jupiter from Gemini casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 3rd house. This aspect is protective and wise. Even if communication feels delayed, outcomes tend to support growth. Jupiter retrograde deepens understanding. Instead of reacting emotionally in partnerships, you are encouraged to act with maturity. Since both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde together, this is not a time for sudden commitments or drastic changes. It is a time for careful evaluation and thoughtful correction. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your 9th house of higher learning, belief systems, travel, and long-term vision. This creates an axis between communication and philosophy. You may gain emotional clarity about your life direction. If certain beliefs no longer resonate, the eclipse can highlight that. Mercury retrograde gives you the space to adjust plans accordingly. Financially, this period supports strategic marketing rather than aggressive expansion. Because Mercury rules your 10th house, improvements in communication directly influence income potential. Reviewing business proposals, renegotiating service agreements, or refining branding strengthens long-term stability. Relationships can mature during this time. Honest conversations about shared goals may occur. Jupiter's retrograde ensures wisdom guides decisions. Misunderstandings that surface are meant to be resolved, not escalated. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, confidence in partnerships increases. Plans discussed during the retrograde phase gain clarity. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, communication flows smoothly and marketing efforts gain traction. For Sagittarius, this double retrograde phase is not about setbacks. It is about refining how you communicate, negotiate, and execute. With Jupiter's protective aspect and Mercury's analytical strength, you are positioned to improve both partnerships and career visibility. The eclipse adds awareness about long-term direction. By the time both planets move forward, you are ready to act with greater confidence, clarity, and strategic focus. For Capricorn, Mercury rules your 6th and 9th houses. That means it carries the energy of work, service, competition, health discipline, debts, and problem-solving from the 6th house, along with higher learning, belief systems, long-distance travel, mentors, and fortune from the 9th house. When Mercury turns retrograde in your 2nd house in Aquarius, the spotlight moves to wealth, savings, speech, family values, financial stability, and self-worth. Because Mercury links effort and fortune to finances, this retrograde becomes a powerful period of financial and mental recalibration rather than disruption. The second house is the house of accumulated resources. It shows how securely you feel supported in material terms and how wisely you manage earnings. When Mercury retrogrades here, financial discussions may resurface. You may revisit budgets, savings plans, tax matters, or income distribution. Since Mercury rules your sixth house, there may be renewed focus on loans, service payments, or outstanding obligations. Instead of creating stress, this transit offers an opportunity to organize finances with clarity. Corrections made now can strengthen long-term stability. Mercury ruling the ninth house adds another layer. Your belief systems and ethical principles influence how you handle money. During this retrograde, you may reflect on whether your financial choices align with your deeper values. If you have been considering higher education, professional certifications, or international ventures that impact income, this is a strong time to review those plans. Adjustments made with patience can improve outcomes after Mercury turns direct. Aquarius in the second house introduces themes of innovation and unconventional earning. You may rethink income sources, especially those connected to technology, digital platforms, or social networks. Mercury retrograde here supports refining business strategies. Instead of launching new ventures impulsively, improve existing systems. Review pricing models, renegotiate contracts, or update financial documentation. This is an excellent time for financial planning sessions. The conjunctions in Aquarius increase activity around money and speech. Mars in the second house can create urgency in financial matters. You may feel motivated to increase income or address overdue issues. With Mercury retrograde, avoid impulsive purchases or sharp words in family discussions. Mars gives courage to tackle financial challenges directly, while Mercury ensures attention to detail. Used wisely, this combination helps you strengthen financial discipline. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this period brings awareness to self-worth. You may reflect on whether you are being compensated fairly. Retrograde Mercury encourages careful communication when discussing salary or fees. This is not a time for emotional negotiation. It is a time for well-prepared discussions backed by data. Venus also influences this period. Venus rules your 5th and 10th houses, connecting creativity and career to finances. When Venus joins Mercury in Aquarius, financial opportunities related to professional skills or creative talents may resurface. You may reconnect with a past employer or client. Venus softens conversations and supports balanced agreements. If you are negotiating a raise or revising a professional contract, diplomacy works in your favor. Rahu's presence in Aquarius intensifies desire for financial growth. You may feel drawn toward unconventional investments or new earning streams. Mercury retrograde reminds you to verify every detail. Research thoroughly before committing funds. Rahu can bring innovation and bold ideas, but caution ensures long-term benefit. Now consider the most important factor. Jupiter is also retrograde at the same time. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your 6th house, until March 11th. This is significant because Mercury rules this same 6th house and is retrograding in the 2nd. Both work and money sectors are under review simultaneously. Jupiter retrograde in the 6th encourages reflection on work habits and service responsibilities. You may reconsider workload, employee management, or health routines connected to productivity. Jupiter from Gemini casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 2nd house. This aspect is protective and supportive. Even if finances feel slow, Jupiter ensures growth through wisdom. Because both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde together, this is not a time for reckless expansion. It is a time for disciplined correction. Financial decisions made after careful analysis tend to be beneficial. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your 8th house of shared resources, taxes, inheritance, and deep emotional ties. This eclipse forms an axis with your 2nd house of personal income. Emotional awareness around money may surface. You may realize the need to balance personal savings with shared financial responsibilities. Instead of instability, this creates clarity. Mercury retrograde allows you to adjust budgets thoughtfully. Speech is another important theme. The 2nd house rules how you express yourself. During this period, words carry weight. Choose them carefully in family and professional settings. Revisiting communication style can improve relationships significantly. Health should not be ignored. Since Mercury rules your 6th house and Jupiter is retrograde there, work stress and dietary habits may require adjustment. Small improvements in routine can enhance productivity and financial focus. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, work matters begin to stabilize. Confidence and problem-solving increases. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, financial negotiations move forward more smoothly. Income plans that were revised during retrograde gain momentum. For Capricorn, this double retrograde period is not a setback. It is a financial and ethical reset. You are aligning work habits, belief systems, and income structures. Jupiter's protective aspect ensures that corrections made now strengthen long-term security. By the time both planets move forward, you are positioned for steadier income, improved confidence, and wiser financial decisions. For Aquarius, this Mercury retrograde is deeply personal. Mercury rules your 5th house of intelligence, creativity, children, romance, speculation, and self-expression, and your 8th house of transformation, shared resources, research, emotional depth, and sudden change. Mercury retrogrades in your 1st house in Aquarius. The 1st house represents identity, physical vitality, mindset, confidence, and the way you present yourself to the world. When the ruler of creativity and transformation turns inward in your own sign, this becomes a powerful phase of self-redefinition rather than external chaos. Because Mercury rules your 5th house, this retrograde directly affects your thinking patterns and decision-making style. You may begin to question certain choices you made recently, especially related to creative projects, investments, romantic matters, or educational goals. This is not regret. It is refinement. Aquarius is a sign of innovation and future vision. Mercury retrograde here asks you to reassess whether your current direction truly reflects your evolving identity. You may feel more introspective, analyzing your strengths and weaknesses carefully. This inner review can sharpen your intelligence and clarify priorities. Mercury also rules your 8th house, which connects this retrograde to deep psychological transformation. You may uncover hidden fears, subconscious habits, or emotional attachments that have shaped your behavior. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you gain awareness. This is a strong period for therapy, research, self-study, or financial restructuring related to joint resources. If you have been navigating shared finances, inheritance, taxes, or investments, careful review now prevents complications later. Since Mercury is retrograding in your 1st house, communication style becomes important. You may rethink how you speak and how others perceive you. Aquarius individuals often value independence and originality. During this retrograde, you may refine how you express those qualities. If misunderstandings have occurred in the past, this period allows you to clarify your stance calmly. Instead of rushing to defend yourself, you need to observe and respond thoughtfully. The conjunctions in Aquarius intensify this identity-focused period. Mars in your 1st house increases drive and assertiveness. You may feel motivated to take bold steps or defend your ideas strongly. With Mercury retrograde, the key is controlled action. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this period highlights self-awareness. You may feel more visible, as if others are observing your actions closely. Retrograde Mercury helps you correct small inconsistencies in your public image. This is an excellent time to refine personal branding, update professional profiles, or reassess long-term goals connected to leadership. Venus also plays a supportive role. Venus rules your 4th and 9th houses, linking home, emotional stability, and higher learning to your identity. When Venus joins Mercury in Aquarius, relationships with family and mentors can offer guidance. You may revisit educational plans or travel ideas connected to personal growth. Venus softens communication, making it easier to resolve misunderstandings. Rahu's presence in Aquarius increases ambition and restlessness. You may feel an urge to reinvent yourself or pursue unconventional paths. Rahu amplifies desire for recognition and expansion. Mercury retrograde ensures that reinvention is thoughtful rather than impulsive. Instead of sudden dramatic changes, you are encouraged to plan carefully. Rahu can open doors to innovative fields, technology, or global networks if you combine boldness with analysis. The most important factor during this period is that Jupiter is also retrograde at the same time. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your 5th house, until March 11th. This is highly significant because Mercury rules the 5th house and is retrograding in your 1st. Both the house of intelligence and the house of identity are under reflective motion. Simultaneously, Jupiter retrograde in the 5th deepens introspection about creative expression, romance, and personal joy. You may question what truly brings satisfaction. Jupiter from Gemini casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 1st house. This aspect is protective and wise. Even if you feel uncertain about direction, Jupiter ensures growth through reflection. Because both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde together, this is not a time for rushed decisions about identity, career shifts, or major investments. It is a time to align mind and wisdom. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your 7th house of partnerships and marriage. This creates an axis between self and others. Emotional awareness around relationships may surface. You may recognize where your personal needs conflict with partnership expectations. Instead of seeing this as tension, view it as balance. Mercury retrograde in your 1st house gives you the space to adjust your approach in relationships. Honest communication can strengthen bonds. Financially, this period encourages cautious decision-making in speculative ventures. Since Mercury rules your 8th house, shared financial matters may require review. Avoid impulsive commitments. Health and energy require attention. Retrograde Mercury in the 1st house can create mental overstimulation. Prioritize rest, balanced routines, and mindful communication. Small improvements in daily habits can boost clarity. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, confidence in creative and romantic matters increases. You may feel clearer about what truly excites you. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, communication flows smoothly and personal decisions feel less complicated. The internal recalibration you completed during retrograde becomes visible as stronger self-assurance. For Aquarius, this double retrograde period is not about confusion. It is about conscious reinvention. You are refining identity, deepening emotional intelligence, and aligning creativity with authenticity. With Jupiter's protective aspect and Mercury's analytical strength, you are supported in making wise adjustments. By the time both planets move forward, you are positioned for clearer self-expression, stronger relationships, and a more confident sense of direction. For Pisces, Mercury rules your 4th and 7th houses. The 4th house represents home, emotional security, property, family foundations, and inner peace. The 7th house rules marriage, partnerships, business contracts, and public interactions. Mercury retrogrades in your 12th house in Aquarius. The 12th house is the domain of introspection, foreign lands, expenses, retreat, healing, subconscious patterns, and spiritual growth. When the ruler of home and partnerships turns inward in the house of solitude and reflection, this becomes a powerful period of emotional and relational clarity rather than loss. The 12th house often brings withdrawal from noise. Mercury retrograde here slows external communication and redirects focus inward. Because Mercury rules your 7th house, you may revisit conversations with a spouse or business partner. Issues that were quietly building beneath the surface may now come up for calm resolution. This is not a destructive phase for relationships. It is a clearing phase. You may recognize patterns in communication that need adjustment. By addressing them privately and thoughtfully, you strengthen bonds rather than weaken them. Mercury ruling your 4th house connects this retrograde to emotional foundations. You may feel more reflective about home life. Discussions about relocation, property management, or family responsibilities may resurface. If you have been considering moving abroad or spending time away for work or study, this is a constructive period for planning logistics. Since the 12th house also rules foreign connections, you may reconnect with someone overseas or revive plans involving international travel. Aquarius, as the 12th house, introduces themes of innovation and future thinking into your spiritual life. You may explore meditation techniques, psychological studies, or healing therapies that are unconventional. Mercury retrograde favors research and quiet study. Journaling, therapy, and deep conversations in private spaces can bring meaningful insight. The conjunctions in Aquarius intensify internal processing. Mars in the 12th house can bring hidden frustrations to the surface. Instead of reacting impulsively, channel this energy into physical exercise or disciplined routines. Mars gives the courage to confront fears that were previously avoided. Combined with retrograde Mercury, it supports strategic emotional healing. The Sun's presence in Aquarius during part of this period brings awareness to subconscious habits. You may realize where you have been sacrificing too much in relationships, or where boundaries need strengthening. Mercury retrograde encourages you to communicate boundaries gently but clearly. Now consider the fact that Jupiter is also retrograde at the same time. Jupiter is retrograde in Gemini, your 4th house, until March 11th. This is highly significant because Mercury rules the 4th house and is retrograding in the 12th. Both inner emotional security and subconscious healing are under review simultaneously. Jupiter retrograde in the 4th deepens reflection about home and family. You may reconsider living arrangements, family dynamics, or long-term property goals. Growth turns inward, encouraging maturity in emotional responses. Jupiter casts its aspect onto Aquarius, your 12th house, where Mercury is retrograde. This aspect is protective and spiritually supportive. Even if solitude increases, it becomes healing rather than isolating. Jupiter's wisdom helps you see the larger meaning behind temporary withdrawals. Because both Mercury and Jupiter are retrograde together, this is not a time for dramatic relationship decisions. It is a time for thoughtful evaluation and emotional alignment. The lunar eclipse in Leo on March 3rd activates your 6th house of work, service, and health. This eclipse may bring awareness about daily routines or workplace stress. Since the 6th house opposes the 12th house, the theme becomes balance between service and rest. You may realize the need to prioritize mental health. Mercury retrograde supports adjusting schedules, improving sleep patterns, or revisiting health checkups. Saturn transiting in Pisces adds seriousness and responsibility to your 1st house of identity. You are already in a phase of personal maturity. Saturn asks you to define yourself clearly and take ownership of your direction. Mercury retrograde in the 12th complements this by encouraging quiet reflection before action. Rather than rushing forward, you are building emotional strength internally. Venus entering Pisces after March 2nd enhances this process beautifully. Venus in your 1st house increases charm, harmony, and grace. It softens communication and improves relationship dynamics. Conversations that felt tense earlier can become smoother. Venus also supports creative and spiritual growth. If you have been considering artistic or healing practices, this is an encouraging time. Financially, this period may involve reviewing expenses. The 12th house relates to outflows. Instead of unnecessary spending, you may choose to invest in education, travel planning, or wellness. Mercury ruling the 7th house suggests reviewing shared financial agreements carefully. Emotionally, this can be a meaningful clearing phase. You may release old resentments or forgive past misunderstandings. Deep conversations with a partner can strengthen trust. If single, you may gain clarity about what you truly want in a relationship. After March 11th, when Jupiter turns direct, emotional confidence increases. You may feel more secure in family matters. After March 21st, when Mercury turns direct, communication in relationships becomes smoother and decisions feel clearer. By April, as Venus continues to bless your 1st house, you may notice renewed self-confidence and harmony. For Pisces, this double retrograde period is not about isolation. It is about inner alignment. You are refining emotional foundations, strengthening partnerships quietly, and building spiritual resilience. With Jupiter's protective aspect, Saturn's grounding influence, and Venus bringing grace, the adjustments may now lead to stronger relationships, healthier routines, and deeper inner peace in the months ahead. As we conclude this episode, please keep in mind that these insights are based on the Sidereal Zodiac system used in Vedic astrology, which differs from the tropical system by approximately 24 degrees. These are general predictions. The real impact depends on your dasha cycles and your individual birth chart. For a personalized analysis or consultation, feel free to reach out. If you found this video valuable, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications. And now, you can also hype this video to boost it within the community. Your support helps this knowledge reach more people who may benefit. Thank you for watching. Stay aware, keep learning, and keep shining bright.